This is Good Morning Texas.
Good morning, Texas. We're so glad that you joined us today. I'm Erin Hunter.
And I'm Paige McCoy-Smith. Yes, I'm excited to be here. You know, many of you are at home in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. But here's a cool fact. The civil rights icon delivered a speech in Fair Park in 1963. There is a 7-foot statue at the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center to commemorate his visit. And there are lots of events that are going on today to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we've listed a couple of them on your screen, specifically in Denton and Arlington. However, there are several parades going on right now wherever you may be living, so be sure to check out your city-sponsored website to see how they are commemorating this special day. Erin?
All right, well, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. And whether you like to hold a book or a Kindle, reading is a critical piece to learning. So we invited food writer and historian Dia Mitchell to share her top picks for books and podcasts that dive into Black history. Hello, Dia.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So glad to have you. Of course, of course. Okay, so let's start with books for adults. Say the first pick is The Strange Career of William Ellis by Carl Jacobi. Tell me more about that.
It is really strange and also fascinating. So this is a book about a man who was born an enslaved Black man in the state of Texas, right here at home. And essentially he reinvented himself and becomes a Mexican millionaire.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay, that actually sounds like something we need to put on our list for sure. There's definitely a few twists in that book for sure.
Twists, but I did want to add, it's not what it appears. Most people would assume that this is a case of racial passing, but it's not like that at all. So you'll have to read the book to learn more.
Okay, so she's not giving us too much. I like that. All right, second pick is Toni Morrison by Stephanie Lee.
Yeah, so Miss Toni Morrison, rest in peace, was my birthday twin. So I feel like I have a special affinity for her, but I definitely wanted to include her on this list because not only was she one of the most prolific American writers, but she also was the first African-American woman to win the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Oh my gosh, wow, very good. So some good history there
Very good history. Yeah.
Okay, love. Third book is Lost Prophet, Life and Times of Bayard Rustin by John D'Amelio.
Yes, so Mr. Bayard Rustin, he was a powerhouse. A lot of people don't know that he was actually one of the main ones behind the March on Washington that we kind of referenced earlier. So back in 1963, he was the strategist, the organizer, the advisor for Dr. King.
Oh, we need to be talking about him more because anybody that can organize that level of an event should be recognized indeed.
Yeah, fabulous. Wow. And he was also a gay Black man. And so I can't imagine the challenges that he faced back then.
Wow. Yeah, no, 100%. A completely different world back then. What would be your first pick for children?
Oh, so for children, we have a book called Nina, and it's obviously the story of Nina Simone, who was a musical genius, but she also used her platform to spread awareness about racial inequalities.
Yes. I love that there's children's books about this just because of the simple fact that you don't want that knowledge to die out. You want to be able to pass it on. Second children's book that you say is The Last Stand. Tell me more about that one.
So this book is powerful and it brings awareness against the subject of something that's can be a little bit sensitive at times, and that is the disappearance of Black farmers and Black-owned land. And so in 1920, there were upwards of almost 1 million Black-owned farms and also Black-owned land, and that number has dwindled quite severely.
Yes, my goodness. Okay, so for people who prefer to listen to podcasts, what podcasts do you think? Because I think it's easy to just hop in the car and then you can get some knowledge like that as well.
So podcasts are always a good go-to, especially when you don't have time to read. You're on the road, as you mentioned. So one of the podcasts I recommend is called The Stolen Girls of Americus. This podcast it will make you outraged because of the things that happened. So basically, imagine it's 1963, the height of the civil rights movement, a few months just prior to the March on Washington. And you're 12 years old, you're in Americus, Georgia, and you're going to buy a ticket to the movie theater, but you're approaching the whites only counter. So it's bad enough that you have to have a fear of being detained by the police.
Right.
But instead of just being detained, a group of the girls ages 12 to 15 are rounded up, and they are taken 20 miles away to a town called Leesburg, Georgia. And in Leesburg, they are held for 60 days.
Really?
Their parents had no idea where they were.
This
They
is
disappeared.
this is why knowledge is so important, and this
Yeah.
is why passing down that history is so important, because even I'm 26 years old and I'm still learning every day. You just taught me something just now, and so this is so important. I really hope you guys take these pics and really put them on your list. Dia, where can people find you?
Oh, definitely. Find me on social media, Dia Berry Mitchell, and also my website, diaberrymitchell.com or Nostalgia Black.
Very, very good.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for sharing your knowledge this
Thank
morning.
you.
Really appreciate it. Paige?
All right, so one of many things that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood for was equality for all people in a world filled with many different cultures and ethnicities. Teaching our children to embrace diversity, kindness, and inclusivity can shape a more compassionate future. Jacqueline Shaw of MLK of North Texas joins me to share how we can raise prejudice-free children. Good morning. I'm so grateful that you're here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
This is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. I have a multicultural family of my own, and the importance of making sure that our children are raised without those instincts of being bigoted or prejudiced is so important. But I want to find out from you, why do you think it is so important that parents take an active role in teaching inclusivity and also making sure that their children are treating others as they would wish to be treated?
Yes, it is so important in the the environment that we live in today, and with all the different cultures. It's important for parents to educate themselves on the different elements of different cultures, as far as Christmas or Hanukkah, all of those different things. And so when you raise a positive child, they're more likely not to be bigoted against another person.
How important is it for parents to be conscious of making sure that their children are exposed to diverse environments, diverse activities, diverse entertainment? How important is that in kind of shaping a child's worldview?
Oh, it is so important. I mean, from the early ages of getting them in preschool, you want to go and check and make sure that, it's diverse. So it's so important because, I'm sorry.
No, it's so critical. I can appreciate that you can say so much, you can talk as much as
Yes.
you want, but having your child actually invested in an activity, and also seeing different type of entertainment options, because there's so many of them, that they are watching and doing things with people from lots of different backgrounds. It really helps in their overall development, not only as a person, but as a citizen of the world.
As a citizen of the world. Yes, and one of the ways that you can teach a child is for community service. So community service within the community that you live in, far as for the different ethnic groups. There's always something going on, and that's where we come together. And it's a rainbow coalition. It's not, a certain color, a certain religion. We just all come together and be at one.
Yeah, and another thing that I think is so important is that we as parents not only talk the talk, but walk the walk, that we are demonstrating to our children
Yes.
by our own example,
Yes.
and making sure that that's being passed down.
Yes, and because children, they live what they see. So it's important to choose friends of different races. It's just so important not to bring work home, that when something happens at work that may be on a racial barrier, to not bring that home, because children will repeat what they hear.
That's very important.
Right.
And it's very important to be conscious of that. So do you have any suggestions on ways that we can make sure that our home environment really kind of communicates an environment of inclusivity?
Yes, so for as parents, to study, to educate themselves on, again, the different cultures, bring in, talk about people that have stood up against injustice, like Rosa Parks, John Lewis, Dr. Martin Luther King, and just, make sure you put those steps into place.
Well, speaking of steps, you actually have 10 steps that these are repeated on your website. We don't have time to go through each of these different steps, but we do have a few of them on our screen. Can you give us an idea of some of the steps that you suggest we consider making sure that we're employing to help offset any kind of prejudice and to raise prejudice-free kids?
Yeah, again, just being inclusive in the children's life, far as making sure they're enrolled into, if they're in sports, maybe it's a soccer club, a basketball club, creative arts. So,
and there's so many others that you can do.
True,
you
yes,
really
ma'am.
need to kind of look at the website. But I do want to not fail to mention that you have got an event, the 36th annual Martin Luther King Day celebration tonight. Where can people get more information about that?
Yes, they can get more information on MLKNorthTexas.org.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're green. I am.
With Miss Galinda.
The blockbuster film Wicked also touched on themes related to discrimination. And guess what? Several of the original costumes are on display in a new exhibit called Wicked Threads at the Arlington Museum of Art. I stopped by for an exclusive first peek. Take a look. I want to introduce you to Elphaba. The original costume, one of several that were worn in the movie, is here at the Arlington Museum of Art. And there, of course, is the classic hat. There are many little hidden secrets that I'm excited to share with you. And Kendall Quirk is going to be revealing some of those. One in which I didn't know is that Elphaba is named after L. Frank Baum. That, of course, is the author of the original Wizard of Oz. And you've got so many other secrets.
Yes, so many.
This is so exciting. Yeah. I mean, frankly, how on earth were y'all able to accomplish this and get Universal Pictures to allow you to have these costumes on loan?
Yeah, thankfully, they have been touring these costumes around, and we happen to be kind of on the tail end of that, and we get them for 4 months. So this exhibit will be here for 4 months if you want to come see the Wicked costumes.
All right, well, let's take a little closer look, because Elphaba here, there's stories behind these costumes, and there's so much intention behind them. Yeah. Tell me about the designer, the costume designer for the movie musical, and what he was intending by the pleating of her costume.
Yes, so Paul Tazwell is the costume designer, award-winning costume designer of these costumes for this film. And this is a dress that was really intended to look like fungus. Elphaba is really known for her love of animals and her love of nature throughout the film, and so designing all of her costumes to really replicate fabrics and designs seen in nature was really his intention when making this costume.
And something I also didn't realize is that the reason why she wears black, it's because she's still in mourning after the death of her mother. This was a point not addressed in the movie at all.
Absolutely. She wears black famously throughout the film, and it's even referenced several times by other characters in the movie, noting that she is wearing black while everyone else is wearing their school uniforms. But they really highlight her love of her mother, who she lost very early in the film. That's not really talked about as much. But there's all sorts of color that is woven in very subtly. So underneath this black, yes, there's a layer of purple underneath this black costume, so that we can really show the black design of the fabric.
Well, now let's turn our attention to Nessa. That's of course Elphaba's sister.
Yes.
And she is here. And what I find fascinating about this is one of the uniforms. And I find it interesting because this wheelchair was actually in the movie as well.
Yes,
during some pivotal scenes.
Yes, she flies in this wheelchair at Shiz, and this is her school uniform of Shiz University, the classic blue and gray colors. Her shoes are really beautifully detailed. She has some very delicate socks. Everything is very geometric in the design of this costume.
And that's fascinating to me. And one thing that this is, by the way, this is still being put on display. We're still in the process of getting this this completely finished.
Yes.
This is GMT is your exclusive first peek at these costumes. And now let's talk about the broom. I am so excited that the broom is here, even though it's not yet on display.
Will be very shortly. This is the Defying Gravity broom that she, of course, flies off on. And it's made of resin, actually, so it's a little bit flexible so that she can move when she's flying during that song.
And I remember her nails and how that she put her grip around that particular broom.
Yes.
And of course, in these movies, there's several versions of them because they do get a lot of wear and tear.
Absolutely, yes.
But let's talk a little bit about Ariana Grande and her role as Glinda.
Yes.
This costume just makes me think of the original Wizard of Oz and all that magic that's associated with it.
Absolutely.
Look at the sparkle and even the bubbles that you can see. Tell me a little bit of information behind the mastery of this work.
Yes. So Ariana Grande's costumes in this film were really inspired by the Fibonacci spiral, which is a really intentional, natural, but also artistic element.
And Fibonacci spiral, that refers to the face.
It's the face. There's also nature that's involved with it, but all of her costumes were really inspired by that. So you see this kind of spiral in the fabric of the skirt and also in the top.
It's also ironic that baby pink is the fashion color of the year.
I know.
Which I think is fascinating. And the wall behind it, you worked on painting this too, under very specific instructions from Universal Pictures. I love the name of this paint color that you can get at Home Depot, by the way.
Yes.
What is that?
It's called High Maintenance.
High Maintenance, is that not so perfect?
Fitting, yes.
Okay, for people who are fans of the Wizard of Oz, come on here with me, Kendall, as well as, of course, Wicked. This particular costume I love, because that really speaks specifically to the Emerald City.
Yes, that's Oz really in a costume. It's this green, but also taking the color green to show what you can do with just one color, highlighting it with gold and purple and using all of these different shapes, designs in the fabric to really highlight the color and make it visually interesting when everything else in that scene is so green.
All right, coming up, Chef Jolie is in the GMT kitchen, and we are continuing to celebrate MLK Day by showcasing some of his favorite dishes. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. GMT will be right back. We're in the GMT kitchen on this Make It Monday for the holidays, celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. in a way that brings history and flavor to life.
In honoring the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we are reminded that his legacy isn't just about his powerful speeches and his historic marches. It's also about the everyday moments that brought people together, often around the dinner table.
So Chef Jolie of Low Country Cuisine is here to share some of Dr. King's favorite dishes. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so tell me, how did food play a role in shaping and supporting the legacy of Dr. King?
Like you said, food always brings people together, especially during challenging times. And so a little bit of comfort, a little bit of home really helps sustain Dr. King and all of the people that were a part of such important work.
Yes, indeed.
I think about like back with Martin Luther King and some of the things that they were discussing around the dinner table. To be a fly on the wall during that time would be so fascinating. So what dishes are you going to be sharing with us today?
So we are going to prepare one of his absolute favorite dishes, which is smothered steak. So that's what we're going to do.
Dr. King was my kind of man because I love
tell you right now.
steak. Let's do this.
You ready to get into it? Yep. So I'm going to have you go ahead and season Aaron, and I got my glove on.
Yeah, I'm going to season.
Liberally season.
Until the ancestors tell me to
Until the
stop.
ancestors-
Until Dr. King says, girl,
Until he
that's
whispers
enough.
in your ear and
I
says,
know that's right.
stop.
Now, what kind of
Yes.
steak is this, by the way?
So, back in Dr. King's era, this dish was made with like maybe a chuck steak or maybe even cube steak, but we're elevating it a little bit, and I am doing a ribeye because it has that marbling and that fat, and it's going to be juicy. So we got all the sides liberally seasoned.
Yeah, we do.
And now we're going to just sear it. This is a super, super easy recipe too.
I love when you're on the show because you show how approachable cooking can be.
Yes,
Because all
yes,
we're
yes,
seeing
yes.
is we see the steak, we put some seasoning on it, put it in a pan.
Yep.
Step one is done.
So is the oil in the pan or is it
Yes.
butter or what?
This is oil, just vegetable oil. We're gonna sear both sides really quickly.
Oh, gorgeous.
Oh, man.
You know, get a nice little crust on there.
Okay, so since we're talking steak, what do you think Dr. King's preference was? Was he a well done kind of man?
Well,
do you
this-
think he was medium well?
This smothered steak is like home. It's like grandma. So it is very, very tender and it's cooked nice and slow. Okay. So a little bit different from your
So this would
traditional
be
steak.
like on a medium heat that you're doing these
Yeah,
right now.
medium high, because you want to
Medium
get
high.
a nice crust on it. And then you're going to take it from your pan and then go over to a casserole dish because it gets finished in the oven.
Oh,
so
And it really just takes that long?
just takes that long.
Wow.
Well, it's not done.
Okay.
Okay, that's just part one.
Part one. Okay, got it.
We got more coming.
Yeah.
We have two non-chefs with you today.
Kind of,
So you have
yes.
to break everything down to the minuscule
You see that
details.
adabadooya. So
Here's a dabadooya.
typically in Dr. King's era, the smothered steak will get smothered with like onions and also bell peppers. But again, taking it up a notch, you know. You see, we're doing a little 1, 2.
We got to do a little elevation.
Little elevation, and
what we're
then
doing.
they probably did not deglaze with red wine.
No.
So I'm
Probably
going to
not.
deglaze with a little bit of red wine.
Although I do think Dr. King would probably have been a fan of a good glass of wine.
He probably
I'm
would have been
sure
okay
he
with
was. And
it.
there was nobody in the world more deserving
He
of
was
having
stressed.
a
Yeah.
Nice
He deserved a
Exactly.
glass of wine.
wine.
So we let that wine kind of cook out a little bit, and then we're going to go in with our flour.
Thicken it up a little bit.
Yes, because we're going to make the gravy that gets poured over the steak,
Yum.
and then it goes in the oven to finish.
I love that beautiful red color.
Yes, isn't that gorgeous?
Oh, love
Aaron,
that.
can you pour
Yes.
some of that beef bouillon in there?
You know I can. Now, you want me to do all of it? Just
About
a little
half
bit.
of it.
Okay.
Half of it.
Okay.
Listen to the
'Cause
ancestors.
listen,
Ancestors.
I will make her
Speak to us.
salty.
Okay,
My
that's good.
ancestors just flat don't talk to me when I'm in the kitchen. They're like, you're on your own, girl. They're not even touching it.
Figure it out.
I have so many things I could say back to
Don't
that.
say that. Don't say it.
I'm not.
Thank you.
We're going to move on.
So
The
from
gravy.
here, we're going to
They're
add
just the
in
quiet type, all right?
water. If you don't have chicken bouillon, you can just use beef stock.
Okay.
But I like the feel of putting in my seasoning, so that's why I do it that way. So this is going to create a nice gravy.
And then you said
it goes over on top of the steak. You cover it in the oven 45 minutes. So this whole dish takes maybe like an hour to prepare.
It's
to
Luke's.
make
Now,
that
you
happen.
also brought some other dishes, though, that are
I did.
some of other Dr. King, some of his favorites.
Yes.
Or inspired by.
No, one of his favorite dishes was pickled eggs, pickled pig feet too. So I put a little twist on it, and instead of just the pickled eggs, we did a pickled deviled egg.
Interesting. And a
Yes.
good pecan pie. Who doesn't love a pecan pie?
His favorite dessert was pecan pie. So
Can I have one of these?
yes, and it gets that color because
know.
it's pickled with like beet juice.
Beet juice.
Yes.
See, I
Tell me
knew
how
that.
it is.
You didn't know that.
I
but knew
didn't.
that.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
see, beet juice is
But
what
I
makes it
don't
really
eat eggs, so you know that. Is it good? It's good.
He's trying to.
Try it,
But I will try
Aaron.
the Salisbury steak
All right.
on the break because that's where we're about
Smothered
to go.
steak.
You have a quick special offer. I want people to know.
Yes, so my seasoning adabadooya is all you need for this steak and lots of other things. So if you go to IamChefJolie.com, also follow me on Instagram, IamChefJolie, and use the code on my website, MLK50, and you get 50% off of the adabadooya.
Very,
Thank you
very
so much.
good.
You're
We're
so
gonna
welcome.
Be right back.
In the Kitchen is sponsored by Tom Thumb and Albertsons, your one-stop shop and full-service grocer.
This is Good Morning Texas.
Welcome back. Now, we know many of you are at home for the holiday, and if you want a break from the big events going on in D.C., it's time to stream.
It is indeed. And to help you decide what's worth your while, Paige and I asked Susan Kamiab-Stevens to share her binge-worthy picks.
Let's talk about Netflix first. No Good Deed. You say thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, thumbs up. So this one is a really popular series that came out in December. It's about 3 different families who are trying to vie for the same 1920s Spanish-style villa because they think it's going to solve all their problems. It stars Lisa Kudrow, who I personally really love, Ray Romano, Linda Cardellini, Luke Wilson, and many other stars. This first episode's going to hook you from the start, but this series has a lot of great twists and turns. And I mean, I won't divulge too much more into the premise just because it is a pretty discreet one, but it's a really fun, comedy there.
You know, I've actually binge watched No Good Deed already before it snowed.
Oh, you knew?
And I did it in a day. It was that good.
Okay, that's Erin's recommendation also.
There you go.
Exactly.
Okay, also on Netflix is Younger.
Yeah, so this one actually came out in 2015 and then the series ended in 2021. But the entire 7 seasons recently just came to Netflix, and I really hope everyone gives it a shot because it's got a very unique premise. It stars Sutton Foster, who is a newly single mom, kind of looking to restart her career, and she comes to realize that it's kind of hard to start over at age 40. So she passes herself off as 26 to get an entry-level job at a publishing company. And there's just so much comedy, romance. I don't know. It's just a really lighthearted, great series that is such an easy binge. Like all the episodes are really short. I feel like I watched this series in like a week because it was so good.
Okay, let's talk about a couple that are on Prime, Pop Culture Jeopardy and Cross.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, so Pop Culture Jeopardy, I mean, we all know the original Jeopardy. It's actually, the original one's always kind of a little difficult for me, but if you're a fan of pop culture, then this one, which stars the host from SNL, Colin Jost, it'll cover questions from like movies to music from all generations. It's actually a tournament-style Jeopardy, and all the entire season 1 is out right now. I like watching game shows like these where I actually stand a chance at maybe getting an answer right. So.
I like Jeopardy. I like regular Jeopardy.
You would do good on Pop Culture Jeopardy.
There's a Pop Culture Jeopardy. Oh, we are in there, absolutely. Okay, let's hop to Hulu because Only Murderers in the Building is the talk of the town.
Yes, obviously we know that this one, every award season, this show is getting nominations. For people who don't know what it's about, it stars 3 people who live in the same New York City apartment building who are obsessed with true crime, and then they get entangled in a murder mystery. It stars Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, Martin Short, who are always incredible and usually always nominated as well. But really here, what gets a lot of praise is the writing. It's very clever. And there's always a fun mystery if you want like a nice like comedy mystery that's not going to scare you.
Okay, also on Hulu, High Potential. That's an ABC show, right?
Yes, yeah. So, and this is new. This one's pretty new. It stars Caitlin Olsen as a single mom of 3 who one night kind of solves an unsolvable mystery when she rearranges some evidence at the police department because she's a cleaner there. Well, when they realize that she's the one who did this because of her high potential intellect, they hire her on as a consultant for all their mysteries. So it's really clever, and I really like Caitlin Olsen from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so it's great to see her shine in this role. But this is another great lighthearted crime mystery.
That's what I love about shows and movies is seeing the crossover from your favorite actor in one show to them being a different character in another. Sometimes it's hard to disassociate, but when they're really good, it makes for the perfect binge watching experience.
Coming up tomorrow on GMT, Eat Your Age. Best-selling diet book author Dr. Ian Smith explains what to eat at every decade to help you increase your longevity and decrease your risk of life-threatening diseases.
And feel the burn. You have to see what happened when I go to take over a workout class. You don't want to miss it. Keep it right here.
Erin, I love your Employing Erin series. I love it because you really do get to wear all kinds of hats.
All kinds of hats. She was just talking about the construction hat.
So cute.
But this next one, I didn't wear a hat, but it did put me at the head of the class, and it made me also get a sweat. It was fabulous. Check it out. Exercise is crucial for your mental, physical, and overall well-being. The hardest part about working out, though, is showing up. But today, not only have I shown up, in this edition of Employing Erin, I'm actually gonna lead the class. So let's do this. Britt Wold created Grit Fitness in hopes of developing an empowered space to motivate women to push themselves to do hard things.
I think that society puts so much pressure on women to work out to change the way that they look, work out to get smaller, work out to get more sculpted, work out to be more attractive to other people. And I just wanted to change that narrative. I think you should work out to be strong, to have fun, because you like it, because you want to condition your brain to know that you can do hard things. The goal is so much bigger than the hot body. I tell the girls, that's icing on the cake. I can do that.
It's an icing on the cake.
Yes, that's icing on the cake.
Britt, I like the icing though. But she is so right. Growing your mental strength is more beneficial than trying to be a specific size. In fact, she's helping me out with that today as we head into the cycle room to learn how to lead a cycle class that's starting in the next hour.
Before we get started, we've got to get you dressed for the part.
Of course.
So this is a Grit Instructor tank top.
Love.
We're going to get you outfitted, and then we'll teach you how to set up the bike.
All right, and I love that it's pretty in pink too. Let's do this. I am dressed and ready to impress. I don't know who because I don't work out like that, but it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna impress somebody. At least I'll look like an instructor. All right, let's go over the bike so I don't actually look like a fool when the people actually show up.
Yeah, so what's really critical for a spin class is to make sure that people have a proper bike setup because we want them to be safe. So the first thing you're gonna tell everyone is they wanna make sure that their saddle is at their hip level. If it's too high, too low, we can help them adjust the seat up or down. Okay. The second thing we wanna talk about is hand position. So whenever we say first position, which you're gonna tell them,
first position,
your hands are gonna be close together on the little semicircle.
Okay, got it.
Whenever you say second position, your hands are gonna be on the L curve, the 90-degree angle. Whenever you say third position, your hands are at the top of the handlebars. Right here, the
right
side.
here. This might be my favorite position.
Yes.
Now that I know how to use the bike, we move on to encouragement and setting the vibe by picking the right playlist.
Here's the thing, you really only have your voice and the music to motivate the class. So the music's gotta be bumping and then people have gotta hear you over the music. So we need you mic'd up so that they can hear you and hear your instructions over the music. So what you're gonna do is put this actually around.
Go ahead and crown me.
Your neck. Now, the music has to motivate the class. So we need a tempo that people can hear and that people can get motivated to.
And before I know it, our class is starting to trickle in, and I can't lie, I am very nervous at this point, but I can do hard things and my mental strength will grow after I accomplish this. My name is Erin Hunter. Welcome to your spin class of the day. We're gonna have a fabulous time. Now, this is my first spin class. Let me just be clear, this is probably not your first spin class. I know most of you are on your bikes already. If you wanna just turn to John right there, he's the one with the camera, and just say, good morning, Texas. Good morning, Texas. Fabulous. So we're gonna start right here at a 70 RPM. So if you can meet me right there, that would be great. And then as soon as this beat drops, we're gonna get going, shall we? Woo! I love the energy. Here we go, a little crunch. Position 1, 1. Here we go. And as we start, I want you to think about in your head what your intentions are for the day. What do you want out of this workout? How do you want to feel when you leave? As the beat switches, we're gonna stand up and do a 2, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Position 3, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sweating a little already, y'all. RPM, let's push it up to 95 right here. Let's push. Woo! Thank you very much, you guys. Hopefully I did okay. I have never been happier for something to be over, but I was so proud of the leadership skills that I learned. Britt took over the rest of the class, and I got to see how a pro does it and follow her lead.
Serious question. Who's having a good time?
Oh my gosh. I genuinely feel like I'm dying. I literally thought I was going fast in my warm-up until I saw Britt take over the rest of the class. But oh my goodness, what a ton of fun. You guys, this is such a good workout. I'm definitely coming back. Will not be leading the class next time though.
Erin, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I loved it. And did you notice that the blonde girl, she knew she was on
ready.
camera.
She was ready for GMT. She said, and then she was still cute. Like she was doing what she needed to do.
She was doing great. But that is hard.
It is
difficult. All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
A high-functioning woman is a woman who wants you. She doesn't need you. And let me clear that up. When I say she doesn't need you, it doesn't mean she's independent.
Ooh, that's good. I like that. I want to know more about that.
I do. That was interesting.
Because I like that. Yeah. We want you. We don't need you.
Yeah, we don't need you, that we are independent. Is that what you were saying?
Well, I don't know. I think we need to. All of us have probably been in a relationship that left us in tears. Most of us would never like to experience that again.
That is very true. So earlier, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant talked with Jane about the difference between high and low functioning relationships. Take a look.
Let's see.
Give me an example of what do you mean when you say a high functioning relationship or a low functioning one?
Love this question. So high functioning relationship is just two people who can identify when their trauma and their pain is then inflamed and choosing or arguing for them. Can you regulate your emotions and have the awareness to say, wait a minute, I'm about to flip my script. It's my trauma that's speaking for me. And let me process before I produce an unresolved answer that causes more impairment.
Okay.
Right? So high functioning is exactly that. It's like, how well do you function in a relationship where you have the awareness of self?
Self-awareness is the key.
And emotional intelligence, right?
And I'll say that low functioning is when you don't have that self-awareness and all of a sudden you're arguing about the same thing you argued with the last person and the one before that. And
it sounds like you've been there. We all been there, right? The same triggers.
I have been there.
And it becomes dysfunctional and it becomes a pattern. And now you're creating that norm for your relationship. And norms are created. So either you're going to create a functioning norm, right, or a low functioning norm, and that becomes the foundation of your marriage or your relationship.
Okay, so why do a lot of women find themselves in one low functioning relationship after another, and what do you see that women have in common when they do that?
Love that question again, girl. You're on fire. Listen, every relationship is a direct reflection of yourself. So the answer to why you're in it is because it's reflecting back to you your pain. Mm-hmm. It's reflecting back to you who you are. I always say, you want to know who you are? Look at the people you engage with. Look at the experiences that you're having on a daily basis. They are a direct reflection to you. And it's not to disempower you. It's actually to empower you to say, listen, this is what you need to work on. Mm-hmm. This is you. You're experiencing yourself. So if you don't want to experience that, shift your perception, shift your emotional intelligence, shift your functionality so you can function in a better space and everybody wins.
So I know there are a lot of different kinds of low functioning relationships, but the one that I always found myself in was I had low self-esteem. So, let me pick the guy who will never commit to anybody because if he'll commit to me, think how special I'll be. It doesn't work, does it?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all because what you're doing is coming in and you're saying, I'm codependently depending on you to stroke my ego to make me feel better. And if you don't, guess what? I'm back into that low self-esteem young woman, right? And I always say young woman because the low self-esteem person in you is a little girl in you who had trauma, who wasn't told she was valuable or wasn't good enough. The woman in you gets that. So whenever the little girl inflames in you, the woman in you is trying to coddle her and say, girl, we're good enough. Right? And the little girl is going, well, then if we are, choose someone who can prove it. Choose someone who can validate us. And when the little girl shows up in a relationship, it causes problems. Why? Because relationships are for mature adults. Relationships don't have space for a child with no insight.
Okay.
That would be low functioning. But it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means now let's work on it.
So here's the key though. I always tell people when you see those things on Instagram, just love yourself. And you're like, if it were that easy, don't you think I'd just do it?
100%.
How do you get from the little girl to the woman? What are a couple of things women who are watching right now can do?
Work. And what does the work look like? Self-inventory. Self-inventory allows you to say, hold on, this is who I am, this is how I'm showing up. And self-inventory isn't done in isolation. It isn't done you sitting there with self. It's done with the people who have experienced you. It's done with you taking a real inventory of, let me see what the commonality is between all the relationships with my partners I've had. Let me see what they're all saying about me, and let me find out what is activated in me when I'm with them. Whatever's activated in you when you're with them is what comes up the most. And that part is what's choosing your partners.
Okay, I want to play devil's advocate for just a second, because a lot of times we accept less than we should have. On the other hand, I have heard you talk about a lot of women today. You think, okay, I've got it together now. I want this and this and this and this and this.
Come on, girl.
And if he doesn't meet this and this and this and this and this, then I'm out.
Yeah.
What about that?
That's called a fairy tale ideology. And how many of us women lead with that as young women and find out that over and over again, not only are we heartbroken by breaking our own heart, we're disappointed over and over again, because we're coming out there saying, I'm gonna find a man, I'm gonna clothe him with my idea. And if he doesn't fit my idea, guess what? I didn't do well, he's not a good enough man, and we're both doomed. And it's like, you need to do this. And he's like, but baby, I'm doing this, but it's not good enough. And then him not being good enough is what? A direct reflection on who? You not being good enough. Everything works as a collective. Nothing is working from an individual space. We're not individuals who are islands. We're actually interdependent humans who need each other. And that's why scripture says it's not safe for man, meaning human, to be alone. Because you reflect me, Jane. And if I'm by myself, I can't see my reflection in you. So when I look at you, I see me. So we see ourselves in others, not them. So for me, looking at you, I see a beautiful woman who's had a lot of brokenness, who's done a lot of work, who's at a place where you feel really good about yourself, but you've identified there's still so much I have to do. And I'm ready to do it. But I know it's going to be a road. I see that in you. But that's because that's in me right now. I'm there.
I
right?
understand. I understand. Look, books have been very helpful to me. My son used to joke that, Mom, your entire phone is full of self-help books. But they can be very helpful. So you have a book out that could help women. Can you tell them where they can get it?
Yeah, so my current book is Mental Detox. It has been the bestseller for 10 years. And it's still selling off the shelf. So thank you all who have been supporting me and buying out. You can go to Amazon.com, put in Mental Detox in Google. We come up #1, and you can just buy. And don't forget to leave a really good review.
Thank you very much. You're a pleasure. It was delightful to speak with you.
Thank you for having me. And good morning, Texas.
You know, this just goes to show how complicated relationships are and really how complex they are.
Yeah.
There's so much psychology that goes into, you know, how we see ourselves and how we attempt to reflect that on other people.
And she made that point.
She really did.
Because I think we, like you said, we have this idea of what we want this person to be.
Right.
And then we get upset when it doesn't turn out to be that way.
It was, I think that was fascinating. They could have talked for like hours and hours and hours.
I think they did, low-key.
They did, a long time. All right. More
We'll be right
GMT to come. We'll be right back.
Wardrobe for our hosts is sponsored by Dillard's at North Park Center.
If you missed any part of the show today, from the incredible knowledge we got from the books that Dia recommended this morning.
So you're wonderful when you were doing the workout sessions, the cycling, fantastic
indeed.
stuff.
You can catch it all again at 10 a.m., which is in a couple of minutes, or at 7:30 p.m. tonight on WFAA Plus, on Amazon Fire, Roku, Apple TV.
All right, we'll see you back here at 9 a.m. We leave you with Shy Speaks and Melody Nicole performing Wake Up. You don't want to miss this. Check it out.
So good. Oh, love it.
Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed.
Yeah, listen. Hey, okay. Lord, I really wanna know who you think we are, fooling silly. Us to not realize we are schooling Billy, Brittany, and Braxton. I took that assessment from how we are acting, cause we lacking compassion for each other. So quick to cancel a sister or a brother. We just be approaching our problems with petty, and we are not ashamed. We celebrated confetti in front of the next gen like we don't know we modeling. Motions of future leaders are bottling stuff that can't save them. Ask us what we gave them, nothing to lean on, just to feel like an ottoman. Woo, crazy, but I know we can make it right if only we can wake up to teach us to shine that light. I asked the Lord what it would have to be. He guided me to inner peace. I said, wake up, everybody.
No more sleeping in bed.
Yeah, wake it up.
No more backwards thinking. Time for thinking ahead.
It's time for thinking.
The world has changed so very much from what it used to be.
From what it used to be.
There is so much hatred, war, and poverty.
Okay, I started thinking a little deeper and discovered that it's way too many secrets we keep covered. And I ain't talking about exposing what's wrong, but exposing what's right if we want to spark a spike or an upswing in what we see in our society. Undeniably, share the truth like a diary. Everybody can see it. Everybody can see it. We all water each other, then everybody can see it. I know, it sounds like a dream, don't it? I can't help it that I'm optimistic. I want the people to incite the teacher for a future that is not ballistic. Problems ahead like Medusa. But all we need is a real solution. I asked the Lord what it would have to be. He guided me to inner peace. I said, wake up,
everybody. No more sleeping in bed.
Wake it up.
No more backwards thinking. Time for thinking ahead.
It's time for thinking,
y'all. The
y'all.
world has changed so very much from
where we used to be.
There is so much hatred, war and poverty.
Yeah.
I said, wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed.
Good morning, Texas.
No more backwards thinking. Time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be.
From where it used to be.
There is so much hatred, war and poverty.
Look,
won't
say,
you
take
help
me to another place.
Won't you help me?
You say,
won't you
take
help
me to
me
another place.
understand your
Take me to another place. Ooh. Hey, let me understand. Look,
take me home.
Give everybody a
Take
seat.
me home.
Give everybody a seat.
Home.
We all water each other. We all water each other. Then everybody can see. Listen, give everybody a seat. Hey, give everybody a seat. Yeah. Give everybody a seed. We all water each other. Then everybody succeed. Everybody succeed. Everybody succeed. Good morning, Texas.
Good morning, Texas.
Wake it up.